I want to welcome you to the 2012 ICP here in Cape Town, and I want to thank you for agreeing to this interview. We're doing it for a project, part of the UNISA project, People Behind the Papers, and what it is all about is we interview successful academics in the field just to find out a little bit more about them and their stories, who they are, and their journey to which led them to where they are today.
Okay.
Yeah, so just as a start, maybe if you can just give us a little bit of background in terms of who you are.
Okay. Well, I am, as you said, Gertina van Schalwyk. I love to always say I'm African. So if people ask me and then they say African, then I say yes, because Africa does not only consist of black people. So that's usually a good starting point. I do believe that I am firmly African because my families have been in South Africa for more than 10 generations. So that makes me belong here, nowhere else. But I have studied at the University of Pretoria. From my first degree through to my final degree. I actually started out in music, but then later was much more interested in how music impacts people's behavior, and then moved on to study psychology and did my PhD in psychology, but on a systems paradigm for music psychology, trying to explain the person-music interactive system in that way. But at University of Pretoria, I was also very strongly involved in curriculum development, in program planning, and my teaching was mostly in developmental psychology and personality, which is still my focus in different, where I'm teaching now. So in 2003, I got the opportunity to move to the University of Macau in China. Macau is a small peninsula in the southwest coast of China, on the Pearl River Delta. It's about 65 kilometers south of Hong Kong. It's a very small little territory, but it was under Portuguese rule for 450 years. And you can very clearly see the remnants of Portuguese colonialism in Macau, as opposed to the British colonialism in Hong Kong. So something that is for me very interesting conflict to see that. In 1999, 2 years after Hong Kong, Macau was then kind of reunited or reintegrated with the People's Republic of China, the main China mainland. So it is now called a special administrative region, and special administrative regions usually function as a what they call one country, two systems policy. So they have the mainland main policies, but they are allowed to have their own foreign engagement, their own legal system and administrative system. Macau also is what is widely known as the Las Vegas of the East.
That's interesting.
So that being said, the approximately 29 square kilometers houses 34 casinos.
Wow.
So we are really overwhelmed by casinos. In 2004, they opened up the licenses, which was previously dominated by one group. Now also have 3 other groups, international licenses, which now give us, for example, the Venetian as being the largest casino complex in the world. It's large, it's 5 times larger than the Venetian in Las Vegas. Different to Las Vegas, however, is that in Macau, you cannot move to the suburbs away from the Golden Mile. You are always in the face of a casino. wake up, whether you go to school, whether you go to work, you will always pass a casino, somewhere or another, because there are just so many.
Yeah.
So that brings it. The benefit part of that is that Macau is maybe the richest city-state in the world, in the sense that it averages growth rate, double-digit growth rate, and at some point actually came up to 29% of growth rate, annual growth rate. So the 85% of the government revenue comes from gambling taxes, and the city has, not as far as I know, ever been in the red with the deficit, because they cannot spend all the money they have. So we are fortunate in Macau to have very solid financial system, or economic system, that provides. The unemployment rate is down to 3.2%.
A little bit different than South Africa.
Yes, yes. So in that sense, is that it's very different. The whole environment, the university. There are several universities in Macau. The University of Macau, however, is the main public university. It is government funded, therefore has fairly good funding for research and expansion. The university also, in terms of its credibility, is very highly ranked within the South China area, because it is because of a very strong drive towards research output. So it's not only teaching, it's also research output. So we have, and we as a university, we teach in English, which obviously makes it possible for me to teach there. What was I going to say? We have a very wide range of international scholars from Europe, from other Asian countries, from America, South America, Australia are the main contributors.
Okay, so that's quite a whole mouthful. Now I want to track back a little bit. You mentioned that you studied at the University of Pretoria. Did you grow up in Pretoria?
Yes, I actually did.
So you
except for a few years in my early childhood that I spent in the then known Petersburg. I think it's got a new name now.
Polokwane. Things have changed. So how did you get into music? Was it since childhood? Was it influenced by your family?
Yes, I did music as a child. Like most of us start learning music at school. In my secondary school, I did it as part of my subjects for matriculation. And then in those days, when I graduated from high school, there was still a very wide discrimination between male-female. What kind of jobs were considered appropriate for females? So the most appropriate jobs for females were, of course, teaching and nursing. So I wasn't really interested in nursing. Teaching, I wasn't really interested in teaching, but okay, let me go into the music teaching, because it was also explained the benefits is that you can, once you're a parent, you can do it from home. So that kind of thing, which is true. And I mean, for a long time I did teach music at home, piano and cello and recorder.
Wow, so you played quite a few instruments.
Yeah.
Only those three?
Those three were the three that I could teach in. So the others I didn't really have enough expertise to teach it.
So you finished your degree in music, and then what happened after that?
After that, I became a professional parent. And I like to call it professional parenting because I had 4 kids in 4 years' time, so very close together, and demanded a lot of input. and I believed that I was giving them the time and the energy to build them up for the future, so that they can become productive citizens of the town. But when my youngest child reached kindergarten age, they all went to kindergarten for 1 year, I decided I want to now kind of develop a career path beyond parenting, and that took me to psychology.
Okay, this is my favorite question. As a psychology student myself, I am always curious to ask, why psychology?
Well, for me, the why psychology was specifically because I was interested in how does music affect or influence people on the secondary level, and the what I call the secondary benefits of music. Only a very small proportion of people can become virtuoso pianists or perform on the world market, publicly perform. But a very large percentage of us can learn it. It's like, I often compare it with the analogy to driving a car. We can all learn how to drive a car, but we're not all racetrack drivers.
Yes.
And that's the same. And then there are also those group of people that are almost natural musicians in that they can play without ever having had any training. So that is also part of my thoughts. So what are the secondary advantages? How does music interact with your everyday life and with your work life? What are the benefits? Why do you study music? Apart from becoming a pianist? And things like behavior changes, self-concept, even the brain developments. We know
they're
that
still not ready. This will be a very direct visit. That marimba has been my experience is that